Hi, my name is Jerry Parker. I'm a storyteller. The stories I tell you, I guarantee you they are 60% true. The story I'm going to tell you today happened in Jefferson, Iowa, Greene County seat. They had a manufacturing plant. They made utilities for cattle feeders, hog waters, and other farm implements that was kind of necessary on the farm. I was not too busy. I went up and asked for a job. They gave it to me. They put me in there and I did whatever work that was necessary. And whenever they had a break, the men kind of collected in groups around the workplace and told stories. I fit right in. And one day when I was walking after work to my car, one of the employees stopped me and says, "I want to tell you a story." I said, "Fine." It was a dirty, filthy story. But darn it, I couldn't forget it. But I never really told it to anybody. The story he told me, I'm going to tell you now. The story he told me was about a wood taster. Now, you got to understand that in the beginning of sailing, the ships were made of wood. And the wood that they used had to be special. Certain wood for certain ribs, certain wood for the keel, certain wood for the mast and the deck and what have you. And as a result, at that time, timber was king. But it wasn't long till steel became king. Well, anyway, this wood taster come through Iowa and stopped in one of the bars. And he bet the bartender that he could, if he was blindfolded and given a sliver of a piece of wood, he would taste it and tell him exactly what the type of wood it was. And he says, if I win and taste and tell you what it is, I get a free beer. The bartender, he was game, so he says, okay, we blindfold you. I've got a knife here, I'm going out, and I'm going to get a sliver of wood. And he went over to the old piano, kind of pulled it out of the way from the wall, and reached back there and took a sliver off a part of the piano frame. Brought it back, give it to the wood taster, and he popped it in his mouth and he chewed on it, rolled it across his tongue to the other side and chewed on it a little more and rolled it back to the other side of his mouth. And he says, "That's mahogany." So they take the blindfold off and they go over to the piano and look, and sure enough, the framework was made with mahogany. Well, the bartender said, "Let's play this game again." and they blindfolded the wood taster, and the bartender went over to one of the tables, and he got down on his knees, and he got up, and on the underneath of the table, he cut a sliver, brought it over to the wood taster. The wood taster popped it in his mouth, chewed it on one side for a while, rolled it across his tongue and chewed on the other side for a while. And he says, "That's red oak, a furniture wood." They went over to the table, turned it over. Sure enough, it was red oak. And he won a second glass of beer. And the bartender says, "I'll play it one more time." So they blindfolded him, and the bartender went over and looked around the room, and then he opened the closet door to where they kept the mop and the broom and a bucket to mop and clean the floor. He took the mop by the handle, and he took it out at the end of the bar. At the end of the bar was a lady. She was a special lady. She had one foot up on the railing of the bar and the other foot on the floor. She had her elbow on the bar. The bartender went over to her. He shoved that mop handle in between her legs, brought it up high, and pulled it out. When he got it out, he cut a sliver of wood off of the handle of that mop. Took it over to the wood taster, and the wood taster popped it in his mouth, and he chewed on it for a while on one side, rolled it across his tongue, chewed it on that side for a while, rolled it back over across his tongue, and chewed on it a little more. And finally he says, "I don't know what that come from." But he says, "I think it came from 3 different trees." And the bartender says, "Well, tell me what you think it was." And the boys, the wood taster said, "Well, it come off of a branch of a pussy willow tree, or else it come off of a branch of a piss elm, or it could have come off of the shingle of the shithouse." The bartender says, "You're right on all 3. Drink your beer and get out of here." I'm Jerry Parker. I'm a storyteller.